You drop $20,000 on a brand new motorcycle, only to discover you've bought an overpriced disappointment dressed up in slick marketing. These are the bikes that fooled us, ripped us off, and made us question what the designers were even thinking. Today, we're diving into 2025's top 10 biggest motorcycle letdowns. Machines that turn your garage into a graveyard and your dreams into regrets. We're talking about fancy tech that breaks faster than a cheap toy, resale values that nosedive harder than a Ducati on a bad day, and designs so confusing they left even the most loyal fans scratching their heads. These are the motorcycles you should absolutely avoid buying. 10th Harley-Davidson Panamerica 1250. Think about dropping $20,000 on what you believe is the ultimate adventure bike, only to discover you've bought an over-engineered, overpriced headache. Harley-Davidson tried to escape its cruiser comfort zone with the Panamerica, targeting rivals like BMW's GS line, KTM adventure models, and Honda's Africa Twin. For a moment, they seemed to succeed. 150 horsepower, semi-active suspension, and that clever self-lowering system that helped shorter riders get their feet down. It even briefly outsold BMW's GS in North America back in 2021. It looked like Harley had finally cracked the adventure market. Fast forward to 2025, and the reality is much grimmer. Resale values have absolutely collapsed. 2021 examples with under 10,000 miles are often listed at $12,500 or less. Half the original price. The problems go deeper than value loss. Owners complain about the fancy adaptive ride height failing after about 10,000 miles, with repairs costing upwards of $2,000. Weighing over 570 pounds, it's heavier than rivals like the BMW R 1250G, S or K, TM 1290 Super Adventure. It eats highway miles just fine, but off-road, drop it once and you'll need help getting it upright. Its styling is polarizing. Too tech-heavy and odd for old-school Harley fans, too big and awkward for real adventure riders. Dealerships? Many still act like off-road means the gravel lot out back. Meanwhile, BMW, KTM, and Honda keep building lighter, cheaper, and more dependable adventure bikes. Harley can't match them. Insurance is pricey. Parts aren't cheap. And sellers are practically begging people to buy them used. Bottom line, the Panamerica was Harley's big, bold attempt to reinvent itself, but it's aged terribly. Verdict: a $30,000 lesson in why sometimes knowing your lane isn't cowardice, it's wisdom. Harley took a swing at adventure riding and missed completely. 9. BMW R 1250R. On paper, the BMW R 1250R is the dream roadster, that boxer engine with shift cam tech, smooth shaft drive, premium electronics, German quality. It sounds irresistible. But by 2025, that dream has turned into an ongoing nightmare. The biggest headache? The infamous hot start failure. Take it for a ride, stop for fuel, try to start it, and nothing. No crank, no noise, just silence. It's not the battery or the key. It just sits there like a $20,000 paperweight, and this isn't some rare glitch. Forums are full of complaints. BMW's response? Vague firmware updates and empty reassurances. No proper recall. No reliable fix. Just stranded riders left frustrated at gas stations and cafes. It doesn't end there. Once you're out of warranty, you're in for four-figure repairs, shift cam problems, electronic bugs, throttle body failures. These aren't routine maintenance issues, they're expensive gambles. And when it's time to sell, that 19,000 MSRP from 2023 is lucky to fetch 8,000 now. Meanwhile, Yamaha's MT Series, Triumph's Speed Triple, and Ducati's Monster are beating it easily. Lighter, faster, and way more reliable. Even BMW itself seems to be dropping the R1250R quietly. Dealerships carry fewer of them, parts take longer to arrive, and focus has shifted to the GS line with next-gen tech. What used to be a stylish, confident roadster is now a fussy, temperamental diva that might leave you stranded if the temperature's wrong. Verdict: the R1250R promised luxury but delivered unreliability with a smug grin. It's a naked bike that reveals a little too much, especially when it heats up. 8. Ducati Panagal V4. The Ducati Panagal V4 was meant to be the ultimate Italian superbike, a MotoGP-inspired masterpiece for the road. But by 2025, it's less a Ferrari on two wheels and more like an expensive warning sign covered in carbon fiber. Let's start with the big scandal: a major recall for the rear brake line. Ducati had to pull back nearly 600 bikes because they routed the rear brake hose too close to the exhaust without proper heat shielding. Result: risk of brake failure. Sure, they offered a fix, but the damage was done. Riders lost confidence. Dealerships were overwhelmed. Some owners waited weeks just to get their premium machine roadworthy again. And on a $36,000 superbike, that's not a minor bug, it's practically legal bait. Then there's the design controversy. Ducati abandoned their iconic single-sided swing arm, a visual signature for decades, in favor of a MotoGP-style double-sided setup. Technically, it saved weight and improved handling, but die-hard fans saw it as sacrilege, like Ferrari making a front-wheel drive car. Forums exploded in memes and rants. Ducati may have gained a lap time, but they lost soul. And let's talk value. The V4 and V4S had eye-watering price tags, especially in markets like India, where they sold for over 36 lakh rupees. After the recall, resale values plunged. Buyers got cold feet. To be fair, performance is still insane. The 1,103 cubic centimeter V4 cranks out 216 horsepower with top-tier electronics and aerodynamic winglets. It'll absolutely obliterate a Yamaha R1 on track. But unless your home address is Mugello Circuit, it's ridiculous for daily life. Stiff, aggressive, it'll roast your thighs in city traffic and punish your wrists. Maintenance? You'd better have a MotoGP team's budget on standby. Bottom line, the Panagal V4 is a high-strung, high-maintenance diva that shreds lap times and your wallet alike. Verdict: Ducati aimed for MotoGP glory, but ended up delivering an identity crisis on wheels. 7th Suzuki Hayabusa. Once the undisputed king of speed, the Suzuki Hayabusa was legendary. A flex, a statement, a motorcycle that broke records and turned heads. Back in 1999, the first generation Hayabusa redefined fast with 194 miles per hour defiance. Gen 2 followed with a bigger 1,340cc engine, stronger brakes, and enough emissions compliance to stay legal for a while. It was Suzuki's aerodynamic middle finger to the competition, and for years, it worked. But here in 2025, that legend's limping along on nostalgia alone. Depreciation is brutal. That $11,000 missile you bought new in '99, worth maybe $6,000 today, if it's pristine. Even 2008 models often list for $5,000 to $7,000, depending on mileage. Gen 2s hold value a bit better, but still get undercut by sharper, smarter competition. Bikes like BMW's S1000RR and Kawasaki's ZX14R offer more speed, better electronics, and modern handling, all at similar prices. What was once iconic is now just outdated fast. Regulations have also killed its global appeal. The Hayabusa isn't Euro 5 or 6 compliant. In half the world, it's either banned outright or teetering on the edge of legality. Passing emissions? Good luck. And the ride itself? Gen 1 and 2 models were unstoppable in a straight line, but throw them into corners and it feels like dragging an I-beam through a slalom course. No cornering ABS, no modern IMU, barely any traction control, just raw, prehistoric power on an aging chassis. Maintenance is another headache. Parts for Gen 1 are getting scarce. Fuel injectors, ECUs, fairings. Good luck hunting them down without scouring eBay. Insurance companies, they see the Hayabusa as a high-risk collectible. Be prepared to pay big just to keep it on the road. Why does it still have fans? Pure nostalgia. For some, the Hayabusa isn't just a bike, it's a shrine. But for most riders in 2025, it's a museum piece that devours money and handles like a refrigerator. Verdict: the Hayabusa was built to be a rocket, but rockets aren't designed to age gracefully. 6th Harley-Davidson, Softail Deluxe, Twin Cam era, it looks like pure nostalgia on wheels. Gleaming fenders, white-wall tires, that low-slung silhouette screaming for photos at every gas stop. But beneath that retro beauty, the Twin Cam era Softail Deluxe hides a minefield of mechanical nightmares. The real villain? The cam chain, tensioners. Harley decided plastic shoes would be fine to guide the cam chain. Spoiler, they're not. They wear down, break apart, and scatter metal bits through your engine like party confetti at a funeral. Failure can strike before you hit 20,000 miles. The fix: either tear the engine apart or fork over $1,000 plus for a gear drive conversion. Either way, your wallet will hate you. But that's just the start. Oil leaks? Absolutely. Base gaskets, rocker boxes, it's not a question of if, but where. And being air-cooled doesn't help. These engines run hotter than blacktop in midsummer traffic. Transmission issues? Expect clunky shifts, false neutrals, and the occasional gut-wrenching crunch between gears. Some folks call that character. Most call it a $1,500 repair bill. Electrical problems? Oh, they're there too. Stator failures leave riders stranded with dead batteries. And Harley's infamously messy wiring only makes troubleshooting worse. Try explaining again to your friends why your shiny Softail won't even start, and the resale punch is real. That $20,000 Deluxe you bought new in 2009? Maybe $6,000 in 2025, if it's in mint condition. Everyone knows these are money pits with floorboards. Harley knows it too. They quietly retired the Twin Cam for the more reliable Milwaukee 8. Parts are drying up, dealer support is fading, and owners' patience is nearly gone. Bottom line, the Twin Cam Softail Deluxe promised classic American cool, but delivered constant breakdowns and big repair bills. Verdict: you can't just slap chrome on deep design flaws and call it heritage. Ainda the GTM 5 KTM 390 Duke, RC 390, KTM's 390 Duke and RC 390 were hyped as the perfect entry point into real performance motorcycling. Aggressive styling, lightweight chassis, razor-sharp handling, and enough tech to impress your friends. On paper, a total knockout. In reality, maintenance grenades with turn signals. Let's start with the engine. A 373cc single-cylinder thumper that's undeniably fun, but runs hotter than desert asphalt. Gets stuck in traffic, and it's like duct taping a space heater to your leg. Even 2025 models still suffer from overheating, jerky throttle response, and random stalling that leaves riders sweating long after the bike cools down. Electronics? A mixed bag. Ride-by-wire throttle is great when it works. Quick shifter? Fantastic. Until it ghost shifts into neutral mid-corner. Add in buggy, side stand sensors, and safety systems that freak out for no reason. And the bike can feel less premium and more paranormal. Comfort? Forget it. The suspension is stiffer than an IRS auditor, and the seat feels like someone bolted a brick to the subframe. An hour-long ride is basically an ergonomic hazing ritual. Build quality isn't much better. The plastics feel brittle, switchgear is clunky, and while the latest models look sharp, the fit and finish still scream budget cosplay rather than true sport bike. And depreciation? Savage. From around $6,000 new to maybe $3,000 used, if you're lucky. It's not just the miles, it's the reputation. Verdict: by 2025, these entry-level legends are best known for headaches wrapped in orange plastic. Fourth BMW S1000RR. When BMW launched the S1000RR back in 2009, it wasn't just another superbike, it was a declaration of war on the Japanese titans. Nearly 200 horsepower, cutting-edge electronics, and real race DNA. Just looking at it could make your palms sweat. But in 2025, it's become more of a garage trophy than a street weapon. Originally, it promised a 999 cubic centimeter inline 4 that roared with power. Race ABS, traction control, quick shifter, features that were borderline black magic back in the early 2010s. By 2019, the Shift Cam update added variable valve timing and pushed output to 207 horsepower. It was cutting edge then. Fast forward to today though, and the S1000RR feels dated, despite BMW's best efforts. The latest versions have winglets, cornering ABS, slide control, a full-color TFT dash with Bluetooth, and sure, 208 horsepower with dynamic suspension that reads the road better than most riders. But there's a catch: brutal depreciation. That shiny 2019 model you paid $21,000 for, good luck selling it for even $13,000 now. Older, non-shift cam versions, forget about 5 figures. BMW has also cannibalized its own lineup by flooding the market with special editions. HP4, M1000RR, countless limited runs. Each new variant eats into the value of the last. And we haven't even gotten to ownership costs. Routine maintenance is easily $600 to $800 per year. Insurance runs 40% higher than Japanese rivals. And good luck finding a mechanic who doesn't treat your aging Beamer like a bomb waiting to go off. Meanwhile, competitors like the Ducati Panagal V4, Yamaha R1, and Kawasaki ZX-10R keep upping their game with better performance and more value. Bottom line, the pre-2025 S1000RR still looks like a superbike legend, but under the fairings, it's struggling to keep up. Verdict: unless you're a collector or a track day addict with deep pockets, you're better off leaving this German rocket in the past. Third Triumph Rocket 3. At one time, the Triumph Rocket 3 was the ultimate power cruiser, a motorcycle with so much torque, it felt like towing your ego behind you. When it launched in 2004, it boasted the largest production motorcycle engine ever, a 2,294 cubic centimeter inline, triple pumping out 221 Newton meters of torque. It wasn't just a bike, it was a rolling muscle car with handlebars. But by 2025, it's a heavyweight relic that's crashing in value. Pre-2024, Rocket 3 models are flooding the used market at half their original prices. Why? Because Triumph released the new Rocket 3 Storm GT and R models last year. More power, sharper electronics, refined ride modes. They didn't just update the Rocket, they made the older ones obsolete overnight. But the trouble runs deeper than a spec sheet. At over 700 pounds wet, the old Rocket 3 is a beast to handle. Low-speed turns feel like a workout. The shaft drive can be clunky, and that enormous footprint is a nightmare in tight spaces or city traffic. It was made for highway pulls, not everyday riding. Fuel economy? A dismal 35 miles per gallon when you're being gentle. Insurance? Predictably high. The rear tire? A massive 240-section monster that's both expensive and annoyingly hard to find. And parts? Get ready to wait. Dealers aren't stocking spares like they used to, especially now that Triumph has shifted focus to the new Storm models. Tech-wise, the older Rocket 3 feels prehistoric. No cornering ABS, no ride-by-wire, no Bluetooth navigation, no selectable ride modes. Compared to modern rivals like the Ducati V4 or Harley's new sport cruisers, it's like trying to stream Netflix on a pager. Sure, it was a muscle cruiser icon back in the day, loud, proud, and unapologetically huge. But in 2025, unless you want a collectible or a conversation starter at bike night, there's little reason to own one. Bottom line, it's outdated, expensive to maintain, and hopelessly outclassed by everything around it. Verdict: the Rocket 3 once had a reason to exist, but now it's just a heavyweight reminder of why even legends need to evolve. 2. CanAm Spider. Once hailed as the future of open-road touring, the CanAm Spider promised to revolutionize motorcycling by blending motorcycle spirit with snowmobile stability. When BRP launched it in 2007, it targeted new riders, older riders, and anyone intimidated by two wheels. For a while, it worked. Over 100,000 units sold in its first decade. You'd see them everywhere, from campgrounds to rally parking lots. But that early promise hasn't aged well. By 2025, pre-2025, Spider models are sinking in value. A 2013 RT that originally sold for $15,000 now struggles to fetch $9,000. Meanwhile, the new RTC to Sky starts north of $33,000, offering only minor upgrades like adaptive suspension, a bigger touchscreen, and Bluetooth. Same old styling, same 115 horsepower Rotax engine. And in a world where electric bikes are pushing 200 horsepower with instant torque, the Spider's specs no longer impress. Owning one isn't exactly cheap either. Expect at least $800 to $1,200 annually in maintenance. Parts are proprietary. Premium Brembo brakes sound great until you realize servicing them is locked behind BRP-certified techs. It's a wallet trap. That massive 240-section rear tire? Expensive and rare. And the ride? Disappointing. The shaft drive feels crude. The entire drivetrain lacks the polish you'd expect at this price. Reliability? Riders report weird problems, paddle shifters, glitching in the rain, battery drain issues, coolant leaks, and random ECU errors. And let's not forget its size. Nearly 900 pounds of machine that gulps fuel like an SUV, and corners more like an ATV than a motorcycle. Meanwhile, competition has raced ahead. The Polaris Slingshot offers sharper handling and more tech for less money. Electric options like the Zero SRS and Livewire deliver better torque, lower maintenance, and a greener future. Even BRP seems more invested in its cheaper, simpler Riker line and upcoming EVs than in saving the aging Spider. Bottom line, unless you need 3 wheels for physical reasons, the Spider no longer makes sense. Verdict: high cost, outdated tech, poor resale. It's less a liberating ride and more a burden on 3 wheels. First, MV Augusta F3800. This one is painful, because if there's any bike that looks like pure art on 2 wheels but rides like a punishment, it's the MV Augusta F3800. When it launched in 2013, it seemed perfect on paper. 798 cubic centimeter inline triple screaming to 13,000 RPM, 140 horsepower, MotoGP style, counter-rotating crankshaft, lightweight frame, aggressive geometry, and the kind of Italian styling that made even Ducati jealous. It didn't just look fast, it looked ready to pick a fight. Fire it up, and that shrieking exhauster note gives you goosebumps. It's the auditory equivalent of a Ferrari and a Banshee having a child. But all that beauty comes with baggage. On real roads, the F3800 is brutal. The stock suspension is stiff enough to shatter teeth. The throttle is twitchy. Early models didn't even have an auto blipper, so riding in traffic felt like stalling a racehorse at every light. Engine braking could send you lurching forward like you forgot how to downshift. Daily commuting? Forget it. It's like trying to drive a Formula One car through city rush hour, and not in a good way. MV tried to fix things with the F3 RR and RC variants. Better electronics, up to 160 horsepower, titanium exhausts, fancy 6-axis IMU. But by 2025, it's too little. Too late. Euro 5 plus emissions rules hit hard. The dealership network is paper thin, and the competition has left MV in the dust. Bikes like the Aprilia RS 660, Yamaha R7, and even electric options like the Energica Ego are faster in real-world riding, cheaper to own, and far easier to live with. Maintenance? Don't get me started. Parts are rare and expensive. Repairs require specialized knowledge and patience. Resale values are savage. These bikes were nearly $27,000 new, and now you're lucky to get $12,000. Owning one is like dating a supermodel who demands champagne and spa days just to leave the house. Bottom line, the F3800 is stunning and undeniably exotic, but it's fragile, high maintenance, and impractical. Verdict: if you want to ride, look elsewhere. If you want to suffer in style, pull up a throne.